Welcome to chapters 20 and 21. In these two chapters, we're going to look at the scientific properties and cooking changes that occur to fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are simple one-ingredient foods, but there is so much scientifically that is occurring inside each of these foods on a chemical, molecular level. Fruits and vegetables are loaded with health-boosting chemicals, and there are many changes that occur to these from exposure to different environmental and cooking conditions. As we move through these slides, we will discuss the nutritional impact of fruits and vegetables, look at ways to maximize their nutrition content, and then review what happens to them when they are cooked and stored in different ways. In this chapter, we are looking at four major concepts related to fruits and vegetables. These are nutritional considerations, storage considerations, food safety and handling considerations, and then a review of what happens to fruits and vegetables when we cook and process them. So, to get away from this chapter, you should be able to explain the main nutritional differences between various types of fruits and vegetables, and know the general benefits of fruits and vegetables as a whole. Overall, that's very basic. So know very basic knowledge, but be able to know the main differences between different types of fruits and vegetables, and then the nutritional benefits that fruits and vegetables as a whole provide. Have a working knowledge of risks related to improper storage of fruits and vegetables, and know how to store different types of fruits and vegetables properly. When cooking with fruits and vegetables in the lab, understand the chemical changes that occur in these foods from the cooking process, and then from adding a few other ingredients and types of ingredients as well. Know food safety practices and be able to apply these when cooking with fruits and vegetables in the lab. Before we go into the cooking differences and the nutritional differences of different fruits and vegetables, let's understand that even within fruits and within vegetables, there are different types of classifications. And by understanding that, we'll be able to get a better understanding that these are going to be affected differently when they are cooked and when different types of stimulus is applied to fruits and to different types of vegetables. So for vegetables, they're broken down into two major classifications. The ones that you need to know are non-starchy and starchy vegetables. Starchy vegetables contain more calories, and this is through starchy carbohydrates. Examples of starchy carbs include potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, beans, and corn. Non-starchy vegetables, this comprises the majority of vegetables that you will find at the store. These include vegetables such as carrots, celery, broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, and onions. Now you know that fruits and vegetables have many health benefits, but what exactly are they? They are listed right here. Fruits and vegetables are high in vitamins and minerals, phytonutrients, and fiber, as well as antioxidants. Meanwhile, they are relatively low in calories. Vitamins and minerals both help to promote normal body function. Minerals also contribute to body structure. Phytonutrients, this comprises a relatively new field of nutrition research. We do not know quite as much about phytonutrients as we do vitamins, minerals, but we do know that they have certain health benefits. Phytonutrients can only be found in plant-based foods and are strongly correlated with the intake of fruits and vegetables. Antioxidants help to prevent oxidative damage and inflammation that occurs in the body. Fiber is mainly associated with improved digestive health, but it can also help to clean up our arteries of any harmful plaque buildup. Plaque is something that occurs due to some type of inflammation along the artery wall. This is largely related to eating processed foods or following some type of unhealthy lifestyle behavior. Soluble fiber will actually help to eliminate the plaque, improve our blood flow, and therefore decrease the risk of heart disease later on in life. Now, most fruits do have high sugar content, and some vegetables have a high starch content. So nutritionally, they're not all the same, and we'll go over that in more detail on this next slide. Alright, so again, fruits and vegetables are generally high in vitamins and minerals. They have a good amount of fiber. They contain phytonutrients. And one thing we did not mention in the previous slide is that they generally have good amounts of potassium. Now, the differences between the two, when you look at fruits, fruits are relatively high in calories compared to most vegetables. And this is because they have a high sugar content that you do not get in any vegetables. With dried fruit, the sugar content per area of fruit actually increases. So there's fewer nutrients and more calories. These are still a good option, but dried fruits should be eaten in lower amounts. Then for fruit juices, these have the same amounts of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, antioxidants, but there's no dietary fiber. So if we drink fruit juice, we do not have the fiber that's going to actually fill our stomachs up and make us feel full. So with fruit juice, it's very easy to get many calories and drink quite a bit of fruit juice without feeling full and therefore gaining weight due to fruit juice intake. Starchy vegetables are also relatively high in calories compared to other vegetables. They are high, though, in complex carbohydrates or starch. Now, there's only a few starchy vegetables. Again, this includes only potatoes, corn, squash, pumpkin. But for these, it's very important to know that there is a high calorie and carbohydrate content. The non-starchy vegetables do not contain a significant amount of starch, and so there's very few calories. In fact, when you eat non-starchy vegetables, you are actually going to be burning the calories that you're eating just because of the energy that's required to chew and process those foods and the low amount of calories that those have. As soon as you pick a fruit and vegetable from its original source, there is a nutrient loss that begins to occur. This loss may not be significant initially, but over time it does add up. There is some compromise that does occur to fruits and vegetables when they are processed as well. Unless you are buying pre-packaged, pre-made meals or foods, it is rare to purchase cooked fruits and vegetables. You will largely get these from either fresh, canned, or frozen sources. High-quality, fresh produce is going to have the highest nutritional content. So the most nutrients will be in a fruit and vegetable that are picked directly from the tree, and when they are fresh, they still are going to have a relatively high amount of total nutrition. There is some damage that occurs when fruits and vegetables are frozen, but the nutritional quality of fruits and vegetables that are frozen is still relatively high. When you can fruits and vegetables, nutritional quality goes down a little bit, but you still can have some significant benefits from this. So if you do not keep fresh fruits or you do not have capacity to store frozen fruits, canned fruits would work very well for you. The general order is fresh is best, frozen second best, and canned is third best. Cooking can actually have a very positive effect on the nutritional value of foods. So when we cook certain foods, we break them down a little bit, and this can actually make them more bioavailable because our bodies are able to digest them and then absorb those nutrients very effectively. However, with that, it's important to know that heat is going to cause some type of destruction of the vitamins and antioxidants that are in the food. Minerals tend to be a bit more stable, but vitamins and antioxidants tend to be lost to some degree when cooking. So to prevent a high loss of nutrient intake from fruits and vegetables, cooking them at low temperatures is very effective at retaining those nutrients. One method of doing this is steaming. So what we do is steaming is we heat water. We actually boil the water, and then we place either the fruit or the vegetable above the water. So as the water is boiling, it's releasing its gas, it's releasing that steam, and that steam is coming up, heating the vegetables, and causing them to have the adjustments in texture, adjustments in flavor, etc. Steaming is going to keep a very high nutritional quality of this food because it's not going to destroy the vitamins and antioxidants in the food to the extent that higher heat cooking methods will. There's a good chance that you are familiar with the term organic. The definition of organic means that there is no use of pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, sewage sludge, genetically modified organisms, or ionizing radiation used in the production of a certain food. Did you know, though, that organic may not necessarily mean organic? There are 3 different organic labels that you can find on a food, and they mean 3 separate things. Only when you see 100% organic does it mean that all of the ingredients in the food were made with organic ingredients. If the label just says organic, 95% or more of the food is organic. The other 5% does not have to be. If you see made with organic ingredients, this means that just 70% of that food is made with organic ingredients. When we cook vegetables, there are chemical changes that occur internally. The goal of cooking is to create optimal final changes. So careful attention is required when preparing vegetables, and that is why it is so important to be able to cook each correctly. Some vegetables will require long, low heat cooking, while some need to be heated very quickly. Vegetables are going to be softened when they're exposed to heat, and therefore their texture can be improved or can be compromised if improper cooking techniques are applied. As you will see in a future slide, some pigments are changed from the cooking process. Anthoxanthin, the white pigment that is associated with cauliflower and the inside of regular potatoes, will darken when it is exposed to heat. The bright green of chlorophyll becomes more of an olive green when heated. When cooking occurs, there is going to be some nutrient loss in fruits and vegetables, specifically from vitamins and antioxidants, and the flavor is altered to some degree. Overall, the more that we pay attention to these different cooking techniques, the greater chance we are going to have of creating an optimal final texture, flavor, appearance, and nutritional value of the fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables come in a variety of different colors. The colors of the fruits and vegetables are provided by the different chemical pigments shown on this slide. Anthocyanins give berries their blue, red, and purple color. Carotenoids are yellow and orange and are responsible for the color of carrots, oranges, and cantaloupes. Anthoxanthin is the white pigment and is found in the skin, in the inner skin of regular potatoes and the outer skin of cauliflower. And finally, chlorophyll is the green that you will find in all green leafy vegetables such as spinach and broccoli, and a variety of other fruits and vegetables as well. Each of the pigments discussed on the previous slide is listed here, and the explanation of what happens to each of them when they are either heated or have an acid or alkali added to them is listed here as well. The next time that you are cooking a fruit or vegetable that has one of these pigments, take a closer look at what is going on in the cooking process. If you are cooking spinach and the recipe calls for lemon juice, notice the olive green color that will result. This is due to 2 things, to the acidic nature of the lemon juice and to the cooking of the chlorophyll that is occurring. When you're cooking a white potato, watch what happens to the white on its inside. It's going to darken a little bit. This is the change that is occurring to the anthoxanthin. You do not have to be able to correlate the presence of each of these with the changes listed in this chart, but this could be a useful tool for you in your later labs and just another example of scientific changes that occur during the cooking process. Going back a few chapters, you'll remember that there are 3 essential kitchen knives that will basically perform all cutting functions in the kitchen. These 3 are the chef's knife, the paring knife, and the serrated knife, and they also have specific functions for different types of fruits and vegetables. Remember that the chef knife is the main knife for most kitchen functions. For any solid cuts, so when you're slicing a carrot, dicing a potato, chopping an onion, you will be using the large chef knife. If you are cutting a food that crumbles or falls apart more easily, a serrated knife with teeth is going to make a much smoother cut. If you're removing the skin or making a tough cut like removing the insides of a bell pepper, a paring knife will effectively and easily remove the inedible sections of these foods. This slide acts as a guide for how to prepare beans. When you are cooking with dried beans, you're going to have to go through 2 main processes. Number 1, you're going to actually have to prepare the beans to be cooked. So this is the soaking section. The second part is they still are going to have to be cooked even after they are soaked. So in order to soak the beans, there are 2 different ways that you can do this. Number 1, you can either soak them overnight in room temperature water or cold water, or 2, you can boil the beans. Just bring the water to a boil and then turn the heat off and let it go back to room temperature. Let it soak for an hour, and in 1 hour after having the beans brought to a boil, you're going to have the same result that you would if you were to soak the beans overnight in room temperature or in cold water. Raw, frozen, and canned fruits and vegetables are all susceptible to some degree of contamination, but the risk increases exponentially in 2 circumstances. Number 1, this is when you're cooking with raw meat, and number 2, this is when the fruits and vegetables have previously been cooked and then need to be reheated. Any uncooked meat is highly susceptible to contamination, and therefore it can create a food risk in foods that it comes into contact with before it's cooked. Any fruits and vegetables that are in their ready-to-eat state should never come into contact with raw meats or eggs, because contaminants spread very easily upon contact. Also, once fruits and vegetables have been heated once and are then refrigerated, they need to be reheated to 165 degrees Fahrenheit to effectively kill any microorganisms that may have grown on them. The temperature is so high due to their high level of susceptibility for contamination. It is especially important to store fruits and vegetables at appropriate temperatures and in the right conditions, because this will have a drastic effect on their spoilage rate and acceptability once they are ready to eat. High water content foods like melons and oranges must be refrigerated because their high moisture content makes them more susceptible to foodborne illness. A more humid environment fosters the spoilage of fruits and vegetables, so people who live on the shores of Lake Michigan in the summertime need to be prepared for rapid spoilage of their foods, while people that live in a desert region, say Grand Junction, Colorado, can keep fresh fruits and vegetables out for a longer period of time because it's a drier climate and there's much less moisture in the air. Many fruits and vegetables produce a chemical known as ethylene gas. If fruits and vegetables are stored together for a long period of time in an enclosed location, the ethylene gas that is released will cause a more rapid spoilage of that fruit and other fruits and vegetables in the vicinity. And we'll talk more about this in future slides. Refrigeration is also not always the best way to store fruits and vegetables. If you accidentally refrigerate potatoes, note that there will be some unwanted spoilage that occurs from doing this. This is due to an increased and undesired sugar content and a softer texture that occurs from exposing raw potatoes to lower temperatures. Many of the drier fruits and vegetables, such as potatoes, should actually be stored in drier, darker, and more temperature moderate locations to avoid these unwanted changes. And finally, microorganisms thrive off of the presence of oxygen. By sealing fruits and vegetables in containers or bags, you will prevent oxygen from reaching the fruits and vegetables and create one more barrier to microorganism growth. Have you ever taken a bite into an apple, gotten distracted, and then set that apple down without paying attention to it? When you look back at that apple, there is a good chance that it turned a little browner. The browning process occurs due to the exposure of a fruit or a vegetable, their actual insides, to oxygen, and this is a process known as enzymatic oxidative browning. While browning is associated with improved flavor in some cases, think roasted marshmallows, the enzymatic browning that occurs in this situation is not desired and does not create a positive flavor or texture. By putting an acid on the surface, we can prevent this browning from occurring. So if you were to make a salad that uses a chopped apple, you would really want to add an acid like vinegar or lemon juice to prevent this browning from occurring to the exposed apple. Also, antioxidants will prevent the damage that occurs to exposure to oxygen. Think antioxidants, antioxygen. Vitamin C or ascorbic acid is a very common ingredient used that will help to prevent this browning. Another chemical to worry about when storing fruits and vegetables is ethylene gas. Ethylene gas is produced by fruits and vegetables naturally, and this causes them to ripen. Ethylene gas is released externally, and so if a fruit is in an enclosed container, the ethylene gases that it produces will become trapped in that container, and the exposure to ethylene gas will be significantly greater the longer that food remains in that enclosed location. This is going to promote the rapid ripening and, over time, spoilage of fruits and vegetables. Now imagine what would happen if you were to store 10 ethylene gas producing fruits or vegetables in a small container. The amount of ethylene gas would increase and it would go up, and there would be more rapid spoilage, even more so than a single fruit or vegetable placed in an enclosed container. Now when you're on your own, give this a try. Purchase 2 unripe bananas. Place one of these bananas in a brown bag and leave one of the bananas on a countertop in an open environment. Close the bag with the banana in it so that no oxygen can enter and no ethylene gas can leave. After each day, compare the differences that you see between the 2 bananas. You will notice changes and differences within 1 day, and over the course of a few days, the differences will be quite drastic. Now, you can use this to your benefit if you purchase unripened fruit, but if the fruit that you buy is already ripe, you may want to keep this away from closed areas and other already ripened fruits.